Okay, so I'm still waiting on our guest, but I'm gonna start talking a little bit about what we're gonna talk about. So we're gonna start talking about the Davos and what happened at the Agenda 2021 conference. That's a real thing. You can find the videos of what took place there. It was the World Economic Forum, and we've talked about this numerous times. They always have it every year. Recently, it was in Davos, and we've been talking about the Great Reset. We've talked about it with Steve, Slow News Day, Glory Jones. We've talked about a few other people started talking about it recently. The Gray Zone did an article talking about the fourth industrial revolution, but Cory Morningstar has been on this for a while. In fact, one of the podcasts she did with Whitney Webb a few years ago talked about the Green New Deal and why the Green New Deal was pretty much a Trojan horse for corporate privatization, the privatization of natural resources, also the turning into mining and lithium and all of that instead of what, just regular money, because now whoever owns all the resources of the world is in power. So what happens is these predator class, elites, whatever you want to call them, they get together and they have these forums where they discuss the next step in the world's evolution, right? And a lot of the things that were discussed were very scary. We've talked about the robots. We've seen the robots. We've seen the people with bullets. We've seen a lot of that, right? And so now we talked about the Thales ID wallet that is happening already. We've talked about how these connections between Bill Gates, Epstein, and all of these people are very real, and they have these interests. They talk about a new form of capitalism that they want to do, and of course, merging humans with technology, which is scary. Yeah. And that's the next phase that we're going to be seeing. So just anything to comment on that before, while we wait for our guest?
Well, Diplomatic Yes says, thank you for the super great contribution as always. Appreciated in Niko's studio on the couch. No, fam, I saw this video. It was on YouTube the other day. It was like a commercial for this. I can't remember the name. It was a little robot they're giving to the kids. And the robot's kind of becoming like somewhat of a psychologist of sorts. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. you see the mother and father look from the side and the robot's saying, what's your name? And it's a really sad kid. And it's like, here, turn him over to the robot. Let the robot's going, hey, you want to go on a mission? You want to do some stuff? You want to talk about this? You want to talk about that? Like, and I'm just like, this is some creepy fucking shit. It was like the video you played the other day with the whole passport with the face shit. Yeah. This was, I can't remember the name. It's like a Me Talks or Me Box or something. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. They are merging like, it's a transhumanist agenda where they're merging humans with AI, and now your kid's going to be taught by robots. And the kids keeps going, Mom, we're going on another mission today. And I'm thinking like, there's a slippery slope here of what kind of missions these kids will be going on one day after taking their orders and they're getting brought up by a robot because the parents just can't figure out what to do. I know I'm a little bit older over here and shit like that, but my mom used to give me a kick in the ass. Say, go outside and play. And go outside and fucking play. Not to say that there aren't kids with special needs who need special attention and stuff like that. But if we start making this a mainstream kind of thing where our kids are just attached to the internet, computers, and AI, it's going to be very scary.
Yeah, I'm 100%. And I think a lot of people will welcome it because we want things to be easy, right? It'd be like initially, before I was aware of all of these dark connections between all these people, I was like, yeah, like, why not like have everything in one spot, because if you trust the system, then you're going to be more giving to it. But because the system we have and the people running the show are so corrupt and disgusting, and there's all this really gross predatory things and this sort of like what is it like where they experiment on people and like it's just really gross. And so that's something to me that I started shifting my perspective, because as a millennial, technology, I was pretty much born into the internet, right? Like I had the internet since I was a child. Gen Z is even more. So they're like relying on these kids to actually, be forthcoming with it. So that's why we really got to stop it. And our guest is here, I believe. We're getting her situated. You're a little blurry, but it's okay as long as we can hear you.
Okay. I don't know why it's blurry. Can you hear me? Okay. Hang on one sec.
No problem. No problem, guys. Any other comments in the chat, fam?
Nope. That's it right now.
Okay, guys. All right. So we're excited to have this guest on. I know Steve's had her on before, and a lot of people are very excited to see you, Cory. A lot of people are extremely excited.
1 second, sorry. That help? Okay, yeah, I covered that up, so that's probably why. Okay, is this live?
Yes, you're live.
Okay, great. Okay, hi everybody.
Hi. Welcome to the Convo Couch. Welcome to the show. Very happy to see you. Very happy to. I've been wanting to talk to you about this because you were the first, one of the first on this, Whitney Webb. I've heard your conversations, and really now, finally, a lot of people are starting to talk about this. Before it was like, it's a right-wing conspiracy theory. This is all conspiracy. Even though the videos you could literally go online and find them. So I wanted to start off by talking about the, in particular, a few years back, you did a podcast with Whitney Webb, and you talked about the Green New Deal. And you mentioned that the Green New Deal was part of the Great Reset. Briefly, how is the cherished Green New Deal, as presented by the Democratic progressives, a Trojan horse for privatization and corporate control?
It's not actually, you can call it the Build Back Better, you can call it the Great Reset, you can call it the Green New Deal. It doesn't really matter. It's actually just gaining acquiescence, the social license to go ahead and unroll, for the Great Reset. So it doesn't matter what you call it. The same people that it's actually global. It's not just United States or the EU. It's actually a global thing right from the UN. And you can go right back to 2009 when they were thinking of unrolling, of rolling it out at that time. And they had some NGOs such as DAVOS involved ready to roll it out, and things weren't ready yet. And so it's taken quite a long time to get the financialization of nature aspect ready to go. And so what we see now, I mean, it's not about a virus. It's not about your health. I think that's the most important thing to say and to make clear. This is about a whole restructuring of the whole global economy. And so rather than uniting and being against what's happening now, we're all completely lost, in this hysteria over a virus, over the mask mandates. We're divided against one another instead of uniting against the ruling class. So this is like major class war. It's been a long time in the making. And yeah, the Green New Deal is just a lot of more of the same, like basically under the guise of climate change, the financialization of nature, so that's the monetization of all life. So the whole thing is very, very anti-life. It's basically the whole transition is from the physical, the biological world to an artificial digital world. So much of this is conditioning.
Yeah. Well, hi, Cory. Thank you for joining the
Hi.
show, by the way. Pasta, nice to finally meet you and get you on the show. Fam has been talking. We got to get Cory on. And here you are today. Thank you so much. Let's build a little bit upon what you just talked about right over here. What's the mechanism they're using? I mean, in other words, how are they getting a lot of these progressives and a lot of these leftists and a lot of these woke people to kind of go along with this whole restructuring of everything they want to do as far as commodifying everything, every bit of nature and every bit of human life when it comes to the Great Reset and Build Back Better and whatnot? What's the main mechanism or tool that's
Foundation
used?
money. Foundation money. I mean, that's what I've been writing about for so long. And that's why I was able to see this a long time ago, because I've been writing about this for years and years and years and years, and following this and watching the foundations basically buy up academia, buy up all the, movements, so-called movements. If they co-opt them, they even create them, right? So you've got trillions and trillions of dollars going into these NGOs, into nonprofits, and now, into science. It's just expanded and expanded and expanded. And so it's a huge regulatory coup. It's a corporate coup, and it's global towards a whole global system. And so, it's all money. It's all been everyone and everything's been bought up. And you have to make a distinction between left wing and liberal. I mean, liberal is not left. right? And there's like now a lot of liberals that identify with the system, right? The ones that benefit from it, while most people are
Can I do a
avoided.
follow-up really quick there?
Yeah, go ahead.
So do you think a lot of leftist, or no, I don't want to say leftist, or liberals or neo-progressives are duped somehow because of does American exceptionalism have something to play with it, our mindset over here, that we can get just so caught up on emotions and rhetoric rather than actual looking at the policy and what's involved there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole Trump thing, how it's been framed is, if you're against this, you are, you're pro-Trump. I'm in Canada. I can't give I don't care about Trump or your politics or anything. Like, it's just like everything is framing, right? And social conformity, especially, is used as a weapon against us, and it's a really, really powerful weapon, right? And so a lot of people fall prey, especially in a era of social media where you're bullied, isolated, and so they've really, really, again, like, this is the biggest psyop I think ever pulled on the public. I mean, I wrote about the Greta psyop, and that was massive, but I mean, this is global. This isn't just, targeting Western populations. This is like a global project.
Right. You've talked about the Davos and the Fourth Industrial Revolution involving names like Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab. So what exactly can you highlight some of the connections among those people?
Well, basically, the World Economic Forum, they've been, what we see now, the capitalist system, was late stage capitalism was in, everyone knows this, was in massive crisis, right? Over 350 trillion in global debt. I've been following for years, even in the first series of the Greta book that I wrote, I talk about that, capitalism is falling apart, the danger of that. And so this was like a resetting of the whole global economy, like being restructured. And the World Economic Forum basically serves as like a de facto, clearinghouse for all, global finance, everything. I mean, like I said, it's hard to articulate how much they've bought up. I mean, if you go and look at the Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, which now there's 4 global centers in the world and 14 affiliate centers, and there's all kinds of, what are they called? Global future councils, everybody, every politician. I mean, so many of the people that are at the helm of all the legislation and policy, they're all tied into the forum, right? If you go and look at the forum on the World Economic Forum's advisory council, the board of trustees, they're all there. BlackRock, the head of IMF, the prime ministers, they're all there. Right. So again, it's like this huge, massive consolidation of power for a very, very anti-life agenda.
Yeah. Well, in the States, I know it's like you said it's a global kind of like psyop, but in the States, we understand now, you said earlier that Biden and the Dem parties Build Back Better as part of this whole kind of like Great Reset plan. It's all the whole same thing. Is there a mechanism for the conservatives to get them involved, or they just plan to make them the enemy, them the domestic terrorists, and get rid of all of them one day eventually? Or are they going to try to kind of sheep herd some of these other people in? Do you know of any other mechanism they're going to use to try to get those people involved? Or are those just going to be used as the mechanism to keep people divided so they can get this agenda passed?
I mean, the right wing sort of.
Yeah. Because, I know a lot of right wingers are the ones who are like looking at this, or independent minded people and stuff, right. And Build Back Better, Green New Deal. That seems to be more appetizing to the leftist, or I don't want to say the leftist again, the liberals, the wannabe leftists and stuff. Is there a plan for them to sheep herd the Republicans or the conservatives in, or are they just going to be?
It's just been such an effective tool dividing the population. I mean, as Steve said from Slow News Day, medical tyranny is not partisan. For instance, we all have friends, family members that are, I'm really, really, maybe people would consider me ultra left. My family, my mom, my sister, they're not at all, right? They're more conservative leaning. They would call themselves liberal, but this is all distraction. This is just being used to distract. And I mean, all these campaigns and that, they're just, I can't really stress how much they're just complete distraction, right? And all this stuff is happening. The stuff that's happening could have never happened under any other cover. I mean, COVID has served as, as Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum calls it, as the catalyst to roll out the fourth industrial revolution. So you have the monetization of nature, you have digital identity, which we need as basically that's the umbilical cord between each person on the planet and a smart city. It's like a huge digital infrastructure. You've got, synthetic food. You've got the vaccine as basically the foundation of a bioengineering economy, which is now unrolling across, being built, the infrastructure across the globe with taxpayer dollars. And we're infighting, right? Like we're fighting. And this is all being framed as a left versus right issue. And it's actually a human versus anti-life issue. It's a working class versus ruling class issue. I mean, liberals are not part of the ruling class as much as they'd like to identify with them and believe they are, they're not. And the middle class, and this will not be spared. They're coming after you. I was just watching a World Economic Forum video from 2015, where they're discussing between 67 and 77% of all jobs gone. And so this is happening, which means there's a real push right now for the digital identity, because digital identity is compliance built into the fourth industrial revolution architecture. You will become compliant by your services being attached to your digital identity. It is built-in compliance. And this is what people do not understand. You get your passport, and again, this is digital ID 2020, which is Gates, Rockefeller, Good Health Pass, which they just launched this year under another name. You get your digital identity, and that is your access to services. Is that they actually identify that as freedom as a service. And so when we talk about things, and a lot of your viewers will have heard about what that one video that came out that I think has been deleted, and they talked about you'll own nothing and be happy. That's all part of freedom as a service economy, where everything is a service through access of your digital ID. And if you do not comply with whatever they like, you will be cut off of your service. And we've already seen, right? So this is huge. This is huge, and this is happening.
Guys, we're going to have to go to Rokfin only for the last couple questions, because I'm going to ask her specifically about the boop boop and all of that stuff that, we will get censored on YouTube.
We don't want to get another
so I want to really get into the nitty gritty of why we brought her. So guys, go on to the Rokfin, Jonny and Oz. Let's get off the YouTube and everything else.